you not, this is like the best thing ever to be devised, like, by not like a Capellan brain, but like a brain in general, right? This thing is so good. It's unbelievably good. Like, you need to have this thing in your lenses, like, permanently, and then you... Wait, hold on, wait. If everyone has it, then it's not special anymore. Because it won't be strong, because everyone else is also strong. Don't use it, it's bad. The Fourth Secession War was a war that should have never happened. But unfortunately, as we all know, certain man could not keep his hands to himself. This man's touchiness was the reason why the Capellan Confederation was all but reduced to a minor state. What was once the buffer between the Federated Suns and the Free Worlds League was now nothing more than a small, almost periphery-level power. That was how things stayed for 3 decades, until, of course, the rise of Sun Tzu Lao. I'm currently around this point in my Capellan Confederation history series. You should check it out, right? It's pretty good, right? I learned and applied a bit of like motion graphics in that one. Kind of. Not really. Under Sun Tzu, the Capellan Confederation rebuilt itself and regained almost everything it had lost. After the dust had settled, Sun Tzu began the Xing Reformations, a movement that, in general, aimed to restore Capellan pride amongst its people. Concurrently, the Star League was reborn, and Sun Tzu was selected to be its first lord. This was in many ways the peak of Capellan history. Capellan fervor was as high as it was ever gonna get. Capitalizing on this, Sun Tzu commissioned a series of battle mechs as a show of force. It was a way to tell the rest of the inner sphere, we are back. This new mech series was built around Xing values, especially with the push to make Han Chinese culture the main and dominant Capellan culture. One of these mechs will be the one we discuss today. And it is the Dee Zhang. That's how you say it, apparently. It's not Zhang. It's more like D-I-Z-Z-O-Z-H-A-N-G. That's how you say it, apparently. Dee Zhang. It's not Zhang. That's how I've been saying it the whole time. It's wrong. It's Dee Zhang. Chinese is kind of hard, huh? The Dee Zhang is the Capellan Confederation's first attempt at a melee-oriented battle mech. The design is, as mentioned, very human, very much like ancient Chinese armor. Just look at it. The helmet has the layered thing going on there, and the shoulders are basically flat. Basically the same thing. I like this, right? Keeps the factions visually different, you know. That keeps it unique. For example, you would just know if a mech is like a Draconian mech just by looking at it, because more often than not, they wear like a kabuto, or they just have like the general generic stereotypical samurai motif to them, right? I don't know if you can apply this like to the other 3 factions, the Lyrans, the Federated Suns, and the Free Worlds League especially, because that's the thing about Western stuff, is that they kind of homogenize, I guess, in a way. I'm talking about medieval armor, at least, because I mean the Draconian one is based on Japanese medieval armor, and these new Capellan mechs are also designed after them, or at least take inspiration from like their motifs and all that. But I'm not sure if you can do the Western stuff. I'm not sure what you can do to make them differentiate from one another, because the thing about Western armor is they're kind of the same. There are like subtle differences, especially in the helmets, but overall they kind of look the same. I think I will have an easier time trying to figure out if something is Chinese and Japanese than trying to figure out which one. Which one is this? Is French? Wrong, but both British. I don't know, man. Something like that. I feel like maybe I'm just not as. I mean, I say it like I am, but I'm not. But maybe I'm not as what do you call that? Well versed in medieval armor as I think I am, especially in the European parts. But we're not here to discuss about that, right? We're here for the Dee Zhang. The Dee Zhang is a 60-tonner built on the SL Special Endo Steel chassis. For a big boy, it's a pretty fast boy too, with top speed of 97 kilometers per hour, courtesy of its Hermes 360 XL engine. This big fast boy can even jump with its 6 Chevron 1 jump jets, giving it 180 meters of jumping distance. But it can go even faster when its TSM, triple strength Myrmir, is heated up to 119 kilometers per hour. Funny thing about the TSM, when Sun Tzu announced this thing, he had to do a little speech to ease some fears for the technology, because back in the Fourth Succession War, the Capellans, they stole a rigged version of the system from the Davions. And this rigged version of the the TCM, right? They will blow up when they are exposed to certain gases. Anyway, TSM requires a certain minimum amount of heat to activate. So, how did the Capellans hope to achieve this heat level? Well, they installed 5 diverse optics extended range medium lasers and 4 diverse optics extended range small lasers. That's 9 lasers that can heat up this mech pretty quickly. Once the TSM is activated, that's when whenever it's looking at dies, because that's when its giant axe pretty much becomes a one-shot weapon. Not all the time, but it can mess you up real good. If the Dee Zhang needs a bit of help, especially when it comes to range, because it doesn't really have any long-range weapons, then it can use its Sea Apple Churchill tiding system to call in missile strikes. Other than that, pilots communicate the Series Com Model 21 RS, and everything is protected with 12.5 tons of Duralex heavy standard armor. Even though this mech is built to stay heated up, the Capellan still gave it 13 double heat sinks. I guess it's just for redundancy if you for when you push the mech a bit too much and you need to cool down relatively quickly. The Dee Zhang is pretty deadly all around, as it can flip its arms to the rear, so you're not really safe anywhere if you face this thing. A deaf commando named Jason Zachlin piloted a custom based on the H model. The tag was replaced with an ER medium, while the existing ERs was swapped out for 3 medium pulses and 4 small pulses. The man also reduced the number of heat sinks to 10. As for Jason himself, he is a bit of a maverick. He was bullied as a child, but then puberty hit, and then started whooping everyone left, right, and center. When he became a mech pilot, he was repeatedly transferred to different commands because he kept fighting with superiors. That was until Deaf Commando Martin Wu noticed him and proceeded to whoop his ass. Not exactly humbled, but Jason has finally found someone worthy of his respect. And so, he was brought into the Deaf Commandos, where he received his Night Lord looking Dee Zhang that he uses for sneaky missions in Solaris apparently. Another model was piloted by Evan Kirst. Kirst was orphaned during the Lao massacre and was then put in foster care of another Capellan family. This family, of course, taught him Capellan values and beliefs, and he grew up distrusting the Republic, seeing them as oppressors of the Capellan people. It took him a bit to finally receive mech warrior training, but when he did, Mai Unwa, former House Ijori commander, now local resistance leader, took Evan under his command. The two worked together until 3134, when the Confederation finally reclaimed Lao. Afterwards, Evan joined the reborn warrior house Ijori. Another house warrior, Chi Yun, also piloted a Dee Zhang. He called his Kali. Yun wanted to become a warrior house pilot just as his grandfather was. His grandfather probably would have called in some favors to induct him into House Fujita. But unfortunately, the jihad happened and House Fujita died. So the only thing that he could do now was just go through the conventional mech warrior training pipeline. Luckily enough for him though, his skills and fanaticism were noticed by warrior house Kamata, which then brought him in for training, even though he was 25 at the time. Just to clarify, warrior house training usually begins in childhood. Let's begin with the rest of the models, starting with the 9J. The J is simply the long-range version of the Dee Zhang. It removes the tag, 2 ER mediums, 2 ER smalls, and a double heatsink to make space for an ER large. Up next is a 9C variant. You'd think this would be an earlier model, but it's not. This is another long-range model, but with 2 more heatsinks removed and a plasma cannon instead of an ER large. The 9DDC began its life as a custom by 3 Daidaichi warriors. To them, the Dee Zhang was, in their words, too uncertain for honorable warriors. So they took it upon themselves to improve the design to make it suit their house's style of combat, which involves straight stand-up fights. I feel like the original Dee Zhang is already designed that in mind, but what do I know? I'm not a warrior house pilot. Also, guess what DDC means? The overall design remains the same, but the head, or rather cockpit, was shrunk a bit, with 3 heat sinks and a ton of armor removed. The replacement and removal of these was to make space for a supercharger, which boosts the top speed to 151 km per hour, in conjunction with TSM at least. That is extremely fast now that I process it. Like, this thing is like a 60 tonner, and it's running that fast. Pretty dangerous. It is very dangerous. Anyway, the tag was replaced with a general target computer, and the ER Smalls are now Series Arms Model JX X-Pulse Smalls. X-Pulse is basically the Innisphere's version of ER Pulse. As the final touch, they swapped out the hatchet for a lance. One of the reasons they did this was apparently because the axe was far too easy to use for warriors of their caliber. That's canon, that is what they said. However, since it was essentially a weekend project with the boys, things didn't go too smoothly. For once, they needed to create a lot of custom parts to fit the modifications, which does not help with maintenance. But they did increase joint protection, and the cockpit, while smaller, has better life support systems. Now, this isn't exactly an improvement, but the lance is a handheld weapon instead of being built in, so you can drop it whenever you want. The 3 warriors pushed their models to be mass-produced for their house, but the Capellan High Command, the Strategios, wasn't too convinced of the design. They didn't really see this as a needed upgrade because the normal Dee Zhang could serve just as well. But eventually, they were persuaded. The DTC entered production around 3083 and began appearing in the warrior house units, with a small number appearing with the Def Commandos and even the Big Mac. Now, I'm not entirely sure which model this was based on, most likely the original H, but the TSG-9 China doll was the personal unit of Kelly Metz, a former Fetsun pilot turned Solaris gladiator. Her Dee Zhang was a bit of a downgrade with a smaller 300XL engine, but she did install a supercharger for a good 108 km per hour. The jump jets were also upgraded to improve models, with 8 providing 240 meters of jumping distance. The biggest change was the elimination of the tag and especially TSM, which was an interesting decision. For weapons, it carries 5 ER mediums, 2 ER smalls, and the hatchet. 12 double heatsinks cool everything down. Kelly left the Federated Suns after the Federal Commonwealth was announced, because she didn't like it. She became a mercenary at first before committing to becoming a Solaris fighter. There, she signed up with the Lao-sponsored Tandrak stables and fought for them in the arenas. In 3062, she received a shot at the title, but suffered a cerebral contusion, which dashed their opportunity. It was only 5 years later that she finally became champion with a new Dee Zhang. But then the jihad happened, and the word of Blake invaded Solaris. They then forced her to fight a full lance alone in a match, which she, unsurprisingly, died in. But at the very least, she went down swinging. A new series of Dee Zhang was released in 3125, beginning with the 10L model. The 10L is a significant change from the previous models, with an endo composite chassis, a supercharged 360XXL engine capable of 152 km per hour of TSM, 20 tons of heat-dissipating armor, 10 double heat sinks, and no jump jets. It's another very fast boy, but its weapons are a bit of a downgrade actually. Instead of ERs, all of its lasers are now normal types. But there is one medium VSP, variable speed pulse laser. The tag is still there, along with a chaff pod, and the right arm carries the usual axe. The Dee Zhang is one of the Capellan Federation's most successful models of Battletech. The pure aggressiveness makes it a common sight, not only among regular units, but especially among elite units such as the Warrior House Orders and Def Commandos. The first units were stationed along the St. Ives compact border, which they soon crossed after the start of the Capellan-St. Ives War. Following this, the Dee Zhang served the Confederation valiantly through the word of Blake Jihad and beyond. This thing is so good, I love it. This is like one of my newest favorite mechs ever. Like easy top 3. This thing is so good. I never noticed. I never realized how good it was until I used it, and it's so good. It's like the best thing ever, man. This is like one of the best heavy mechs. I think, in my humble opinion, this is like one of the best heavy mechs ever created in Battletech. Right? You don't carry any ballistics, so you don't need to worry about blowing up. So you can just keep alpha striking. Turn after, maybe not turn after turn, maybe there'll be at least one turn you need to take a chill pill a bit. But basically, turn after turn, you can just alpha strike all the time, right? Bringing in the full amount of damage as you can before you swing your axe. You know how many damage an axe does with TSM on? That's 24 damage, man. That's 24 damage all concentrated to 1 point. If your pilot has melee master, whatever it's called, that's 25 damage. That's 1 full damage over 24, right? And this 1 full damage might be like the one number you needed to absolutely one-shot the freaking king crab in front of you. Or even the orca. Who knows, right? This thing is so good. Which makes me wonder, why is there no new art? Is it not popular? What? Is that no, like, you know, like the current art style of it? Is that why it doesn't have like that, like the Mech Warrior Online kind of art style? This thing is so good. Like, you need to use it. You really need to use it. If it's not popular, I'd be surprised because it's so good. It's so good. It can jump. It's fast. Like, you move it last within your lance, and you can just easily just like flank someone and just absolutely end them with like a kick or an axe hit. It's just so good. So good. Absolutely beautiful. Well, Jovians, that's that for this week's My Fellow Pilot Week. What? This week's briefing, pilots. Thanks for joining. If you like what you saw, like to see more of these briefings, these mech overviews, or just general lore videos, or then click the sub button. Join the fleet. You can join the fleet by clicking the sub button, right? Hopefully this video has revived or ignited a patriotic fervor for you to fight for your country, which is the Jupiter colony. Yes, we live in Jupiter. This video is for Jupiter Jovians only. If you're not a Jovian, be warned. Our agents are already on the way. But if you aren't willing to join the military, which is 100% understandable, it's a very scary life, then you could at least just leave a like or maybe even comment, right? That will help me boost in the algorithm so that this video gets pushed out to more braver pilots than you, pussy. They'll join the fleet instead of you, while you cower in your pussiness. You can cower in your pussiness in my graveyard, my Discord channel. Yes, there. You can talk to each other. Usually I post memes, and that's basically the daily thing of that channel. Just me posting memes I steal from other places. I requisition. I don't steal them. I requisition them. That was legal requisition, right? Other than that, I've streamed my gaming, my trading sessions. Yes, recently, we've started beginning streaming Skyrim, which is fun. I'm gonna complete that game for once. I've never completed that game. This will be the time we complete that game. What does Skyrim have to do with trading? Well, it trains with a lot of skills. It trains with jungle survival, like forest survival, in the very small chance you get shot down in Earth and you need to survive in the wilderness. That game will teach you stuff. It'll teach you a lot of skills. Lock picking, alright, smithing, right? How to use your bow, your knives and stuff like that. It's your speech, most importantly, so you can blend in with the Earth populace, because they're stupid, right? Those guys are stupid. They can't tell a thing or two to the difference between an Earth themselves and a space dude, right? They're stupid, right? And that game, that simulation, it trains you for that, right? It's a very fun simulation. Glory to the Jupiter colony, glory to my fellow Jovian pilots and the Jupiter fleet. Take care, fuck those Earthnoids, keep killing them, right? Total Earth death. But as you keep doing that, as you do so, please remember to not Die.